Such a perfect way of beginning the show. Welcome to James True Live. I'm your antediluvian host, and I'm happy to be here. It's good to be here. It's so I've got a show in the wings for you here, and it wasn't ready for today. And there's a lot of catch up that needed to be happening with 5.5, which I didn't think I would finish, but I was able to finish. So I finished it, and I thought I really want to hit a new mark. I want to set a new pace, and I want to see if the audience will entertain the idea of us doing 3 shows a week. They may not, and it may be that's not even the right call for this, and we'll find out. And I thought, James, it'd be like the most probably dangerous time to just open up the mics and just kind of see what comes. And so to celebrate the newly dotted mod, I have actually gone in and removed anyone who's ever been blocked is no longer blocked. And so it should be. I think this is the only way you and I've done this a lot. Usually every it's not even like a cycle, because I honestly don't think about this that much. The people that usually get banned from the show, I don't really put that much thought into, except for that. I think it's healthy for me to go in and just clear that and just allow that to come back in. And you saw this yesterday. The first thing that came back in was Bina, or however you say that. And some of you may be fond of her, and I'm not even trying to take that away from you. When you're in the mode where, there's a mode of being where you think that everything is a reflection of you, and people will tell you that, and they'll be like, "Hey, everything's a reflection of you, right?" And and you struggle with that, and you understand that deep down inside. But there's actually a mode too where you actually learn so much about yourself that you are no longer narcissizing. That would be a state of learning the narcissist. The same people that say everything's a reflection of you will also tell you, and there are narcissists out there, and they're gonna mess you up because you're innocent and you're an empath, and they're mean, and they're there to make your life rough. But you're the only one innocent around here, and there's all those motifs are there, and they're valid. I don't even want to ruin them. These are steps that got me here to this day. I remember being in a coffee shop in Raleigh, reading Sam Valnick and finding that to be the only source of medicine that I could find in the entire world. And I knew as I was reading it the entire time that this is a guy that is literally demonizing people by putting them into a label and using his doctorate to explain why it's okay to dehumanize. And you're watching an intellectual, and you know the whole time this man is at the pinnacle of his career. Everyone around him in academia said, no, James, you should not. This is the dude. This is the guy that gets the doctorate, James. You don't have what it takes. And they're right. I could not go through life with Sam Vatniks. And I knew the entire time I needed his words. I was leaning on the fact that he was a doctor. Some of you might be like, who's Sam? What is he talking about? What? And maybe one of you will clear that up. Maybe none of you even know. But it's part of the journey, and I don't want to take that away. I've learned to orchestrate the vitriol in a beautiful way. It's a whole new way of being. You know that. Of course you know that. So, this is Open Topics. This could be the shortest live stream ever. It could be. It really could be. As I said in the description, we're fielding topics from the chat should anyone post anything. Otherwise, I will see you all Friday for the next show. We do have an airship today, regardless. So that's a completely different atmosphere. If you're looking for an invite to that, you may be able to find one in the chat or whatever else and check that stuff out. But Yeah, and so the airships are every Wednesday at 7 p.m. and 12:30 on Friday, and so that's still coming up. But yeah, this is a chance to have some open topics there. I've watched a lot of Sam's work. Yeah, me too. I'm not here to tell anyone you should not benefit or even read that stuff, right? It's um, I do not think that there are enough people, in my opinion, looking at it from the way I see it. I don't think there's anyone doing that, and that bothers me. It You should be able to scroll on Instagram and have some cute girl in a van say, "Hey, you know what? Maybe the fact that you're calling someone a narcissist is just you lacking compassion. And maybe what needs to happen is that instead of you trying to blame or castigate or demonize someone else, you should really have yourself a cup of tea." Right? That's not going to be on Instagram. I'm just predicting. It is there, but it's me, and I'm not in a van, and I don't look cute. I'm not even making tea. I'm like dirty and shit. I've got graphite on my fingers, and I'm like, "Hey, all you fucks who think narcissists bad, well, you're the bad one." And that doesn't work. That's totally not working, right? It's not working, right? I should incorporate some sort of a puppet or something. I mean, that's a stupid idea, but like some sort of like hand creature, right? That could convey the sense of the cuteness, of the innocence of say a cowgirl or something, and convey this idea in a softer way, right? But that is not in me. You guys would have seen that long before now. But yeah, these are things. Hello, Mo. Bone bone technology. Are these topics related? I don't know. I think I've gone on a tangent, is what the problem is. I think that I've gone on a tangent. Somebody's calling me right now. I can hear my phone ringing, but it's like way, way far away. I'm speaking in Chicago in June. I think you guys should come. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I wish I could talk about chemtrails, but holy jeez, you guys are so mad about that. And what you're mad at is there's this binary thing, and I forget. I put too much on you guys sometimes. I expect too much out of you, and I really think that you hear me when I say that I think that this is the experience of the targeted individual, and I think when you hear that, I think you instantly say, "Oh, hallucination, people hallucinate, that person should have drugs, and the world is actually valid because of psychotropics." And I'm like, dude, are you not listening to yourself? Have you heard how closed-minded you are about targeted individuals? I really mean this. I'm not even trying to turn the table because I get it. It's a valid complaint. James, you have no context because you've told us you don't see chemtrails, and I've gone on. I've pressed you further, and I'm doing the very thing I said I don't want to do a show about. But I'm going to try and explain this again. I do not think that you're lying. I don't think that you're seeing it wrong. I think this is homunculus Earth. I think you're rendering more of your world than you feel comfortable admitting to yourself, and I think I am too. I think that the truth is always in the room, and you have no choice but to find a costume to make it fit in with your plan. And I think that you see the world as a poisoning force that's designed to hurt and punish you, and that feeling, that posture that you have, although is valid and it's gotten you through and it's given you the tools that you need to survive, that same posture has also squeezed the joystick of your cortisol and painted a reality that all of us paint. Every one of us paint. And I think it's you're the one being closed-minded by insisting that when I say targeted individual, I'm saying that it's not real. I need you to finally fucking swallow this hard truth that what you call real has always been the conspiracy. And that this is not a slippery slope where you're going to lose yourself. You are going to find yourself the moment you take your hands off the wall and drift away. There's a game you played called Spider, and you crawled into the corner of the pool and you spread your legs and your arms and you practiced while each of you tried to swim in and out of your legs without touching the sides. There was a time when you valued your buoyance. There was a time when you absolutely insisted how crucial it was that you were the one that controlled your X, Y, and Z underwater. And I'm telling you that you had no choice but to rest your fingers on one of the sides, and they've just been there too long. And that side is this clinging to objective reality. I mean, when you think about all the crazy people out there, I want you to realize that is you. You are the crazy one for insisting all of us would have no choice but to see this the same. You are the crazy one for insisting. And you're going to need something. You're going to need to render something like chemtrails that is far enough away that you won't touch it, that is menacingly enough to where you'll give up, that has just the right amount of torque in it that you would never ever bother to form an organization. And that none of you as ex-pilots, none of you people that worked in the airport, no one that worked as a janitor in a hangar, that you're rendering the world in exactly the right amount of way to where it's there, but it's not there enough to where you assemble. There's a group called Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. And I've paid them dues. You go to that site, and it's different. It's a different vibe. It's a different vibe than the chemtrails. It's architects and engineers. Most of them have jobs. And every one of them has said, I want you to know that here's my license, and I want you to know that this building was a controlled demolition. And I know how important it would be to explain and to interject right now that, James, there's a threshold, and you just simply can't accept this other part of this truth, that there's this other thing, that there's these other things. And I'm telling you that when you looked at the practicality of the most powerful, affordable form of mind control in the world, the answer would be skywriting. And just like the Zeta Reticuli, just like the Hottentots, just like the ninjas, just like the boogeyman, you're going to set up these ground rules where it is safe on the bed, but only if you do not dangle your feet. But it's safe otherwise. And that was some of the most brilliant, phantasmal, magical work you've ever done. And you never stop doing that. And when I call you a TI, I'm calling you a fucking shaman, dumbass. I'm calling you a shaman. But you got to be hurt by it. You got to be, you fucking called me a TI. No, I called you a fucking shaman. But I can't give you the rattlesnake stick until you fucking wake up. You're the one putting the dust in your face. You. I'm telling you, this is a stick with a rattlesnake on it. Listen, it is freaking intense, and this can be yours. But you're going to have to fucking wipe that dust off your face. I need you to see this. There's so few of you. There's so few of us. I don't need you to say there are no chemtrails. I want you to keep saying there are chemtrails. I also want you to understand that there's no such thing as a hallucination, that the term itself is empirically never been shown. Not only that, it doesn't even fit with the definition of what actually is happening here. Shamans were the first TIs. And when you're telling me that it can't be that it can't be anything involving you at all, that it has to be this subjective thing, I'm watching someone clinging to the sides of the fucking pool, and you're peeing in your pants, man. There's blue ink everywhere. And no one is going to want to listen to a shaman who acts like that. It's not going to happen. Every demon that you've ever created in your life, since the moment you're born, has been a thermodynamic spell that you've cast in order to reach a certain oasis. And you are King Solomon, and your ring is your ability to fantasy. This is your frontal lobe, the very parts of your brain that tell you to lie, the very parts of your brain that control placebo, the very parts of the brain that heal, the very parts of the brain that you insist could never be because you would never tell a lie, and the ones that you insist would never create reality because so clearly there's an objective reality outside of me. Therefore, how dare you accuse me of being a targeted individual when you are an individual and you found me because you feel targeted. Boom. I'm not on mute if anyone's wondering. Oh, Jesus, mute again. No, I'm not. I'm just thinking. I agree, Graham. Sheldrake, fascinating dude, fascinating thinker. That's one of my favorite. Building 7 was asymptomatic, and it was. It was. When you stop calling them synchronicities, when you stop saying, oh, wow, when you lower your excitement every time serendipity walks in the room, you open the door for more. You scare it away when you insist that it's rare or precious. It's like coaxing a love partner. Anyway, your desire and the amount of desire you've shown is purposely there to demonstrate to them that you have constraint. And when you show a woman that you have constraint, you show a woman that you have power. You show them that, hey, man, this isn't even 40%. And that's a posture. And when your face is squeezing 40%, not 100%, you're gonna pull back different things. You're gonna listen to different things. The ocean's gonna show you different things. You're gonna see different things. Everyone in the city is terrified of the light. In fact, when you remove the sunspots from 2012 until now, you saw one of the cleanest suns we've had in my lifetime. And the result of those cleaning suns was the same as the Spanish flu, was the same as when we invented the dynamo. Vortexes open our pores. And some of us have just run out of melanin to squirt. And we're blisters in the sun, right? Not like we really are. And enough of us don't want to change that. Thank God. In fact, enough of us that are in charge don't want to change that. And so they don't fall for the folly of, but capitalism is evil. They understand that, no, me buying into the fact that this system is evil and we must destroy it is evil. That's the evil. And you start to leave the realm of utilitarianism, which is a realm already higher than morality, because you've got objective morality, which basically means we're going to listen to the Orthodox Church, or we're going to listen to the group that ridicules and bullies them the most effectively, and that they become the new morality because they're the ones that are dictating what's expensive and what's not in culture. So that's not actually morality. Then you find the self. And the Lucifer. You're now accused of the worst things in the world, and you realize that that accusation is the heat of the compost, right? You're burying your seed. And only you could even do that, really. A weak mind's not going to be able to suffer critique. The only way to make a shaman is to scare the shit out of him and figure out if he's still alive. Does he still have his heart in the game, right? Is his diaphragm still listening? That realm is part of this hermetical journey. You will find that pain is really this whole time been your only compass. Pain. And the suffering of the loss of your comfort, right, is secretly showing you the way back home. It's pain. It's not actually pleasure. That when you're in bliss, you don't find yourself trying to grasp something. You find yourself letting go. And so pain itself really is the only finger that you really ever know. It's the only finger you really ever have. And until you understand that pain is that final frontier, until you really get that, you're going to be surrounded in a world that sees nothing but pain as being bad. And it is. One cannot afford the luxury of pain when you're poor. Just like the artist's journey, pain works the same way. Can you afford to have pain? Because if you can, you're ready to profit. But only if you can afford to have that pain, right? It really is just the only way. Some of you may find comfort insisting that that's not the only way. And when I see you, I give you a courteous bow, and I tell myself that you are setting yourself up for an even deeper pain than I could ever invoke on myself. So I respect you even more by insisting that's not possible. But if you look behind me, metaphorically, at all the shamans that were willing to admit that they were TIs, look at them all. Every one of them got here through pain. Bodhi, you back there? Bodhisattva? Yo, man. Dude dropped all his nickels. Dude was like, I need to find pain. I gotta find pain, man. And you would feel angry at yourself. You would feel that you betrayed yourself if you understood that you are the one that put yourself on this pilgrimage. And here's the thing. Every pilgrimage begins with a vision. I want you to listen closely to this. For Constantine, it was a cross in the sun. When you looked at the truth of the reality that they were losing, that the Gauls were kicking the shit out of them, that there was no way they were even going to make it home, that Constantine looked at the pain, at the truth, right in the face at the sun, and saw a vision of this cross with a P. And he took his most trusted general and he said, "I have a vision," and he painted this cross on the shield with blood. And as the story goes, it led to a massive transformative experience. And suddenly these civilized soldiers became berserkers, and they were able to get the job done, whatever that means. And that vision, your ancestors went through that a long time ago, and they know that trick, and that you know that trick, and that I'm here to tell you that you were on the beaches of Normandy. Let's pretend that Normandy was not actually started by a group of literally 19 Jews with radios. If you haven't seen my episode, we'll show you that. But let's just pretend that the whole thing went down the way that we say it is, and that in the middle of all that, you were there, and that you saw 9/11, and you made yourself a sign. And that sign needed to be big, it needed to be supernatural, it needed to be so menacing above you that there was no way you could go back, and you rendered chemtrails. And not once have I told you you're wrong, not once. The only reason why you think I'm telling you you're wrong is because you are clinging to the side of objective reality. And the reason why you are seeing chemtrails is because you are clinging to the side of objective reality and you're insisting it has to be that way. And it's not, it isn't, it never was. And frankly, the longer you hold on to that, the crazier you are. You are crazy until you let go. And the moment you let go, the chemtrails are gone. God, that has to hurt. That has to sting. Because now you're going to insist that, well, see, you just proved it's a hallucination. And I'm telling you it's a rendering. And I'm telling you that this will not change the truth. I'm telling you that you will change the truth in the room, and you will see the direct threat that you are being poisoned in a new light, because you will understand that it's not so far away. It's not 60 miles away. It's not an anonymous plane that no one will ever report. And the next time you go in your grocery store, you will see Predator right there on the shelf, and you will go, "Oh, this is why I had chemtrails. This stuff's right now." When this says, well, we had to use pesticides, they literally meant me. That the most humane way a government would treat its population would be the same humane way that the Humane Society treats the trailer park where there's an army of 168 feral kittens. And that the exact same tactics would be deployed, and not once would you, the poor cat who lives under trailer 33, get a notice that says, "Hey man, tomorrow there's going to be some free cat food." It's you clinging to the side that insists the government wouldn't work that way. And I know you think you get it, but you don't. The reason why you don't is because I think if you got it, I think you'd have a much, much more tenable posture right now. I really do. And I think it's because you'd find you were able to collect a lot more electrons. You're able to collect a lot more energy once you found that buoyancy again. And that buoyancy is fantasy. When you're at equilibrium under the water, you don't actually have stability. You have perfected the fantasy of stability so well that you feel like a turtle. The whole cosmos can do whatever it wants. Objective reality is going to require you to keep your hands on the side. What is pain? Maybe you're not asking what. Zoroaster, right? The original mask wearers worshiped flame. They wore masks because their breath wasn't pure enough to be around flame. And all of us have this concept that if we step into fire, we burn, and therefore we die. That's the concept we have. We have an intrinsic desire built into us that at the first sign of trouble, we should throw this person in a fire and watch them burn. That's like not a novel idea, right? That shows up in pristine cultures everywhere. That in the psyche is the concept of, I will throw person in fire and they will burn. And it's always to solve something. It's always to cleanse something. It's always, you are dirty, I will put you in the fire. It's even if you look at the witch swimming, right, where they would run the witches across the river, there was never like a washing of the witch, right? It was a running of the witch, or the keel hauling of the witch, the moving of the witch. These are important oracles. There are oracles in your mythology. Even the mythology that's insane and crazy, there are oracles built into that texture that are giving us clues about something. And Zoroaster, I think, understood this. Zoroaster was telling you that when you light the flame, right? When you are looking at fire, you are not seeing fire. You are looking at a ripped curtain back home. This is a ripped curtain. It's vertical. It's ripped. It's ripped open. And all of us can go, all of us can come. You cannot bring inauthentic things there. Inauthentic things require other inauthentic things to exist. Flame doesn't actually destroy, it filters. It filters. When you come to 5-5, you get ashes from that flame. They're ashes. It's not dust. It's salt. You can feel it. We actually had a meeting last week where we decided that we wanted a higher quality ash, and we are going to shoot for a hotter fire next time. We're making a product from the flame. Zoroaster said, this world, these are not his exact words, but this world is here to test you, to burn you, because when you are ready, you will walk through the flame. That when you are ready, you will go back and forth between these worlds, and nothing will change. This is built into the oracle of mythology. Zoroaster was not the only person who thought this way. We have this concept that comes up again and again and again. There's a truth here, is what it's saying. Yeah, I agree. Campfires are fantastic. So what is pain? What if pain was a frontier? This is very Rasmussen, right? This is very, it's not even a new idea. What was Jesus doing? There's a difference between Jesus was sacrificed and Jesus volunteered, right? Eve was framed. That's a mode of thought. And Jesus volunteered. Very different modes of thought, right? Very different. Which would survive being burned in the flames longer? The posture of I was framed, or the posture of I volunteered? Which would allow you to endure vitriol longer? I bring this up because when you think about liberation, you have no choice but to consider the word surrender. And now you know why. I want you to understand that liberation would only be a word that could exist inside the cathedral of pain. For real. That without the strife, without the struggle, liberation would have no medium to even build its wings. It would be a completely meaningless word to you. And so liberation is a function of pain. It's not an anecdote. It's a honey. Liberation is the honey of pain. I don't write this stuff. I just report it. You tell me if you think that's not how it works. But if you can reach a state where pain is sensei, you are going to find a posture that allows more endurance. And I would dare say that looking at every single liberation story that we've ever been told, it always comes with that concept of surrender, which always implies that concept of pain, which shows you all the doorway. So when you see chemtrails, I don't want you to feel better. I want you to understand that you volunteered to see them. You guys probably hate that. And the binary thinker would say that's just word salad. And the binary thinker would insist that being framed and volunteering doesn't mean shit. Because all that really mattered is that person died. Which shows you the motivation of survival. It's 2-bit existence. Am I alive or am I dead? Am I alive or am I dead? This is why I mentioned the vertebrates as SDKs. That there are vertebrates that have slavery incorporated into them because it's showing you that stair step between the horse, the cow, the mule, the human. That all of these mammalian structures are necessary to build this hermetic ladder, and this hermetic ladder is going to be built on, I find pain serving this host in order to survive. I find pain being referred to as a parasite, as if it's evil, right? Someone used the word parasite as if it was evil when we started the chat today. And only now do I see the intricacies of this language and just how much trouble we've gotten into. Do you realize that when we're castigating parasite, we're castigating children? We're saying children are evil. And that the problem with government is it's a parasitic system. No. No, the reality of government is that it has no choice but to create a parasitic system, because humanity itself is built and bred on the concept of you guys are going to need each other. It's built in. And since it's built in, it would make sense for those that have less calories to thrive and find the eddy that's the most comfortable. The most comfortable way to live is in a wheelchair. That's a psychology. The most comfortable way to live is to destroy my eyesight through diabetes. The most comfortable way to live is to find a way to be addicted to back pills, because I won't have this other thing happening anymore. And this is where you would get mad, because you would insist your binary thinking is that I'm giving you too much power and you have too much influence, and how dare you fucking say that, James? You've never had a hard day in your life, would be the response. Because of how careless and thoughtless and heartless I am to suggest that every one of us is a fucking shaman. And if you, being at the level where you've seen chemtrails, you already can't see it now, then that should show you just how difficult my journey is. It should show you just how impossible it is. That we are surrounded by rainbow children painting themselves gray as they can. And you're clinging to the side, and you're the fucking shaman that could be helping them along. But no, you got to paint fear everywhere. You got to paint fear everywhere. You got to paint fucking fear everywhere. And the reason why is because you're afraid of being a fucking shaman. Shame on you. Shame on you. How are we going to get to Aquarius with this? How's it going to happen? Is this a perspective or what? How often are you going to even be able to consider a concept like this? Only 37 of you have even bothered to hit like. I get it, man. This shit's rough. It is. And so many of you are just like, James, would you stop talking about this one thing over here? And yeah, James, over here, when you mention this, and you know, I'm learning my place. Philosophator? It's a squiggly line, isn't it? I want you to grow, but I want to dilate you, and I want you to not be too dilated to where you're like, fuck this guy. And that's some tricky math, man. That's some tricky math. Oh, now 50 of you. Oh, thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Well, now, says Free Press. Well, thank you. Thank you, Stretch into Spirit. Let's see. Nobody's dropped any topics. You guys are just listening. That's cool. Ace of Base, I saw the sign. Open your mind. James, will our energy or souls recognize each other wherever we go from the human area? That's a beautiful question. I think that would probably depend on the quality of our witness, you know? Like, we probably do that to each other all the time. You know? Water has a memory. Most of us are water. I've shown you how a child just has a higher percentage of water content. And then as you get older, you turn into salt. So you're seasoned that water, really. And when you think about how hard it would be to completely cleanse water from the world, and you start to look at the world and you realize, oh, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. I just had a revelation. Because you start to think about the ocean itself, saying, well, wait a minute, if the ocean is all salt and all the fresh water is in the land, and the fresh water has to fall from the sky to drop on the land, and then it becomes imbued with memory and experience, which means water is acting as a consciousness coolant, this sort of like mover that's able to move consciousness in and out. When every time it rains, it cleanses the world of memory and consciousness. And the revelation that I'm telling you about is that, well, that would mean that everything with salt hasn't been cleansed, which kind of shows you how full our world is. How full our world is. And I've talked about this before, but 97% of the world is salt, right? Salt water. 97% of the water is salt. And what if I was to tell you that that means that the hours of the sandglass of consciousness are 97% full? And isn't that interesting? Because the Jewish year is, I don't have my phone because it's way over there, but it's 5,718, 88. basically there's 214 years left if you consider the world to be 6,000 years old. And if you take that model and you consider that the fresh water would be the amount of space that's left in the gigantic organic hard drive, and the salt water is the hard drive that's just simply full, that it gives you this clearer picture of where we are. And when you look at technology and how far away we can know things, how long we can store and know things, it's kind of showing you this salt, that the salt is so much around that it's in the air, right? And so me personally, I don't know if we recognize each other as much as we recognize just the energy of the place. Right now, you and me don't acknowledge really out loud that much that our rivers are alive. Some of us will see trees and say, yeah, your name's probably Jebediah. But the river's too much. And that's why I think the next 200 plus 218 years, I think it's 218. 218 years are going to be off the chain. So that's a liberation reference. But yeah, off the chain. But remember, the world's evil because we have the icon of the Statue of Liberty. And she has, excuse me, inside her the Kundalini rising, the spiral staircase rising inside of her. And she's just broken free of her chains. But that icon is somehow evil and bad. And that icon is here to enslave you. When literally Prometheus has just broken free. And our entire motif, the entire icon motif is Kundalini rising. Get your fucking ass up. You have no excuse. There is no bondage here. Be. Exist. I am, right? Enochuk, right? But no, it's slavery. It's slavery. It's all slavery. They're all bad. And everyone's controlling us because everyone above me is the enemy and everyone below me is my idol. And now there's 99 watching. Look at that. Hello, 99. We are living in antennas. Well said, Road Atlas. I agree. Yeah, anything else? Anything else? Can we talk about humans born with different sized pupils? What's that about? My daughter has that feature. You mean like one's one size, one's the other? You've probably seen this, but you know, there's the chimera, right? You know, you're a twin within a twin, right? And I could see that. This half of your chimera has a different size pupil than that half, right? Right? You've seen that. One of my testicles is frickin' huge. I'm just kidding. But you know, it's women talk about this all the time. You guys have different names, right? For one nipple is a little bit, cross-eyed maybe. You probably tell each other, right? I've never noticed. I'm just saying what you guys say each other, but that would fit the whole chimera thing, you know? Yeah. I think there's something to that. The twin of a twin. If you haven't read my book, first of all, frickin' hello. I recorded it on audio. It's like probably the only way you could top it is if like Lando Calrissian read it. It's a good frickin' book. And so you could listen to it right now. You could go to Audible right now and buy the book. You could actually do that, like right now. I'll wait. No, you could go there. I will wait. You could go there right now. You could actually listen to me and go there because, you know, I'm not going to put anything up on the screen right now. It's Open Topic Tuesday. I don't have slides right now. So you could be buying the book right now, the audiobook. However, in the audiobook, things I've never mentioned on the show are in that book. And it's not that I'm trying to hide it. It's that I don't know how to convey all those ideas because so many of them build so colossally on the last one. And the chimeric nature of who you are and your genetic code. You're a twin inside a twin that had twins. On every level, it's profound. It is profound how it works. And you're always in touch with that twin, whether you know it or not. You know, the sequence starts halfway in the middle. It's even more complex than you think because your twin is not just your twin. Your twin is The only combination of person that could literally have half of your genetic code match your other half of your genetic code. In other words, the genes overlap. Your chimeric twin overlaps with your next chimeric twin, and that it's compressed because all those genes are the same. That's why it's more profound when we tell you a twin. You're so much more profound than that. You are the living Janus, right? You are the living Janus. Two faces. If you read the book, you know what I mean. This isn't a reference to doing the Humpty. This is he made my face against my face. Right? Woo wee, who he, I ho oha. Right? Male, female. What is the Torah? It's the hermaphrodite flashing you, saying, "Look at the truth," and you're like, "No, I don't like that you have balls in a snatch. This is not good." Maybe snatch not work, but it's at the root of all shame, at the root of all core shame, at the root of all genital dysfunctions that are causing so much strife around the world. They're not even dysfunctions. They're literally the catalyst, the Jacob's ladder that causes all these things to move. And at the heart of that, James True, yours truly, wrote a book that literally explains to you where it all comes from. In my opinion, it's my most important work, and frankly, I don't think enough of you guys are reading it. I don't think so. And I think you should. I think it'd be easier to explain why you're attracted to people, why you're not attracted to people, why there's a giant world out there that survives solely on the notion of fashion and discretion, and why fashion and discretion are so important, and why shame is not actually a bad thing. While shame was completely necessary for you to build the field, that you would not have built a personal field were it not for the very heart of shame, that your member was Cain, and he was broken on purpose because that's what's required to make you grow, and that this entire process that you swear to fuck is evil, that you swear to fuck is bad, that you swear to fuck is chemtrail hallucinations and all the other things that you insist can only explain this objective world that you cling to, that every fucking one of them goes back to your first wound, and you can go back right now, you can go back right now and say to yourself out loud, I volunteered. Ooh. You can tell yourself that. And you can begin this alchemical journey, and it may not be right away. It could be. It could be right away for some of you, if zero doubts that that's possible. But I want you to remember that the 3 trillion cells that are in your body were told a lie by you when they were in your heart a few days ago. And they came in, they're like, hi, who are we? Tell me who I am. And you weren't paying attention. You said, you are a chemtrail cell who's here to protect me from the evils of the Zeta Reticuli. And you've told yourselves that. And those little guys are so proud of you. They believe in you so much. They're like, okay, that's what we'll do. And it would be quite natural for you to find how helpful it would be to be patient with yourself and to if you could hold that kind of intention for all 3 trillion blood cells. That the next time they came through your chamber, they were charged with that. You would walk on water, and here's how you do it. You would pilate your red blood cells. Your red blood cells would be so in tune and so in love with you because you would be so associated with them, because you associated with them inside the chamber of your heart. And because you're associated with them, you're quantumly entangled with them, right? Which means that if you spin, they spin. If you spin, they spin. If you spin, they spin. You have set all of those to the same tone because you've perfected your ability to fantasize, to imaginate, to focus long enough to where all 3 trillion of the blood cells that come into your heart were charged in the same way, from the same belief, from the same epicenter as you. So now they're purely quantumly entangled. And here's how you would walk on water. You would simply top spin all of your red blood cells and point every pole directly up. And you'd find that each one of them has their own spin, and each one of those spins, because of the iron that's inside, creates this magnetic field. And that you felt this magnetic field when you feel goosebumps. And that when you feel goosebumps, the next time you're going to say, what if I could harness these goosebumps across my whole body? And you'll remember this talk and you'll say, holy fuck, that's how you walk on water. And you know what? Because it is. That's how you do it. And the Oracle of Mythology tells you that's possible, because every one of you guys, not one of you came to me 3 weeks ago and said, hey, we're all going to pretend that we've heard the concept that you could walk on water before. And that I said, okay, I'll say I believe that. We didn't have to do that. I said it here for the first time, and you're like, oh, of course, walking on water. Of course, walking on water. And just like chemtrails, you have the reality in your head, but you've said it's impossible. You've set this state, what I mean. You've set this state where you can't reach it, but it's there. You can't reach it, but it's there. You can't reach it, but it's there. And that's an important part of you staying alive and staying healthy and keeping your field responsive. I don't want you to change that. But I want to walk on water. I think it would be cool as fuck. And some of you fucks are ruining it for me because your field is so potent. And you hold joysticks directly to my face. And I implore you, let go of my joystick if you do not believe. Separate yourself and embrace the chemtrails. Embrace the Soros. And find comfort in the smart city that will swallow you all, and laugh and cackle as you drowned in the metallic teeth, and feel the brevity's juice like oil dripping on your forehead, and you will say, I am happy here. Yes, indeed. Well, thank you, Tycho. Tycho, it's good to see you, buddy. I haven't seen you in a while. Not saying you haven't been here, just saying I haven't seen you in a while. Embrace the chemtrails. If you guys can embrace that, I can tell you more things. I can tell you more things that I see. And that they might scare you. You need to say James is a hallucinogenic targeted individual who needs meds. And I don't mind you saying that. Fuck. I've heard that a lot. It's like, it's kind of cool now. It's like, it doesn't even hurt anymore. It's just like, oh yeah, totally. You totally need meds, you're right. Completely need meds. And I'm always like, what kind of meds? And like, I don't know. It's like, oh, yeah, I figured. I don't know if I got anything else to say. You guys have given me no topics at all. Really. Okay, good, Tycho. I'm glad I saw that right. So yeah. You can come to Dojo though. I'll be there in 26 minutes. This is exactly how long it took between the you'll see that Friday actually. You'll see that Friday. I'll show you Friday. I'm gonna save it for Friday. Rubber Band Man. Total Buoyancy. Barfling had a Q. Barfling had a Q. What is Barfling's Q? Let me see. I'm going to scroll up here. Where is my buddy Barfling? I don't see Barfling here. Dude. I don't see it. I don't know why I don't see it. For some reason I don't see that. How about BDSM? It seems as though it is inherently unhealthy. Why? This is a great question. Think through why exactly that would be unhealthy, and keep in mind that we do actually live in a psychopathic world where people actually aren't allowed to really necessarily act out what they want to act out, and so we end up with these weird fetishes. James True personally believes that almost every single act of sex that has anything that involves the word kink at all is strictly a polyvagal exercise, and the people that are doing that just don't understand how the polyvagus works. And as uncomfortable as this may be to hear, the polyvagus is accessible through certain points on the body. Your eyes, right? If you press on your eyeballs, you're relieving pressure on your vagus by pressing them. When you squeeze your throat, you're actually giving the polyvagus an opportunity to release. These are everywhere. Sometimes I pay attention to where I put my hands when I'm like not necessarily feeling well. And sometimes I'll Google that spot and I'll be like, where is this? And then I start to catch on and realize I'm actually trying to relax my polyvagus. And your sphincter, your anus is a pretty big pathway to that. I don't really want to have conversations about Kundalini or masturbation or anything along this topic in the public forum like this, just because there's just so many children that I'm sorry, I shouldn't call them children. So many long children that just aren't ready for this kind of stuff. And I personally I think discretion is a aphrodisiac. That's probably the best word for it. And so you're not going to find me like some Dr. Ruth type that's like, oh, look how honest James is, or forthright with sex or whatever. I actually think that's unhealthy. When I see Dr. Ruth do that, I actually think, oh, that poor woman doesn't have discretion. It's not a field on her, and I think it shows. So, you're not going to get in-depth thoughts on this, but I've done a lot of research on it. In fact, Quantum Rapture, kind of embarrassing the way the research ended up. I didn't necessarily want the book to have these elements in it, but when I just simply followed all the things, I was like, shit. Non-ironically, I was like, shit, this is really fascinating. It's also really awkward because I know the social stigmas around everything. And as a new author, you're not necessarily like in a hurry to like, let's drive into the social stigmas. You especially when you're writing a novel, you want people to enjoy the novel. I don't know if you're even finding this entertaining, but that's the ride that I've gone on. Same ride I've had with chemtrails. Same ride I've had with hallucinogenics. Same ride I've had with ADHD. Same ride I've had when Ritalin came storming the beaches. I used to work for a company called Autism Speaks. And before that, they were called Cure Autism Now. And when I was working, we were actually trying to diagnose and determine and figure out maybe what could be causing autism. And that was a noble feat. And now when you go online, it's autism is a territorial water. There are people that guard autism, that say we are the gatekeepers of autism, and we have just the right amount of autism. And people that are claiming to have terrible social anxiety disorders, not to say that that's the entirety of autism, but people who literally have autism and are claiming I have severe social anxiety disorders are doing that by voluntarily starring in, editing, directing, filming, uploading, publishing, and sharing a video about themselves, explaining how awkward it is for them. I'm telling you this now because if you want to go back into the concept of BDSM, which I'm not even trying to argue one way or the other. I just want you to know that when you live in a world that has all these caramelized psychopathic ideas pretending to be normal, that it would make quite a lot of sense, in my opinion. That I would even go so far as to argue that the people that are clinging to the sexual, we'll call them the deviant spectrum of things, are probably going to be more prone and have more potential as someone who could reach that shaman post. That I'm telling you right now that if you want to know who the most powerful shaman are, it's the people that are suffering from what we call normalcy the most. Those actually I can prove, would be the best shaman by far. And if we weren't quite so apt to block them away, I think you could see this on your own, and you wouldn't need to hear me postulate about it. I think you'd see it. The Autism Speaks used to be called Cure Autism Now. Then they changed their name to Autism Speaks, but they did it too late. And so now one of the largest groups that used to raise money is the castigated as the evil force that's trying to ruin our good time. And the normalcy is set in, and it's petrified. And I now know that this is exactly what happened with vaccines. I fucking know that as everyone was getting herpes and giving herpes to each other and had no choice but to create some sort of viral white blood cell response, which ended up having a residual effect of stopping a spread of something that I do believe is probably true, which is called contagion. I find it amazingly similar to the chemtrail debate when people are saying contagion isn't real. When you watch Tom Hanks literally inject contagion across the world simply by posting an image of himself with a typewriter saying, "I've got sick now." So let's wake up. Let's stop insisting contagion isn't existing. You can look out your window right now. You're living in a symbiotic world. Of course contagion is real. Of course it's real. And that you hold a joystick to my face, I hold a joystick to your face right now. Right now. I can inject electrical pulses into your face. The only way you can stop it is not look. It's the only way. Do you understand what tics are? Right? What we call Tourette syndrome. Have you looked at the science of that? It's freaking fascinating. We should do an entire episode about it. I want you to understand what's happening with tics. You're looking at shaman. You're looking at shaman trying to relieve the room. They're doing magical work. They're heyoka clowning it. And they had to develop a syndrome to give them permission. What is the clown? He invokes a syndrome when he puts makeup on his face. He says, "I therefore have permission to do this." What does the jester do? "I'm wearing bells on my fucking head. I can say anything." And that the jester and the shaman and the clown and the heyoka are all right now living on the streets, and they call themselves Tourette's. And they call themselves chemtrails. And they're exactly what we need. You and I will handpick these shaman. And there's a litmus you can apply, and that litmus is let go. Find your buoyancy. Embrace the fantasy that you paint and never, ever stop. From this moment on, you have no choice but to paint every frame of your reality. You can no longer look to a two-party system to paint it for you, because you will die. You are entitled to something better, and therefore you will. And therefore you do. I'd love to. What's up? I hope I remember. I will. It's a great idea. It's a great idea. You beautiful people, I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for listening. I hope this has been interesting. Let me know your comments let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd really like to see them. I'm looking forward to what's next. I'm looking forward to where we've been. Hello, Fairy P. Great to see you. Ibis of Thoth. Gotta love the name. Don't know who you are, but thank you. Love you too. Guys, have a wonderful day. Hope to see you in Airship. If not, I'll see you Friday. And yeah, let's get you out of here. Somewhere there's stop stream. I'm not sure. I'll do it. Jeez, would you freaking be patient? What's this?